Today, we are privileged to have among us a real life hero, a timeless crusader against child labor and exploitation. He has dedicated his entire life in protecting the world's most vulnerable segment of the society. He is none other than Nobel Peace Laureate Mr. Kailash Satyarthi. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion, the Conclave 2024. You have come a long way. Since 1980, you have given up your comfortable career as an electrical engineer, and then you found Bachpan Bachao Andolan. What motivated you to do so, sir?
Before answering in question, I would take this opportunity to congratulate Pratidin time for hosting me here, but organizing this conclave. You have given this opportunity to many people to interact right in the capital of the country. That is important. Well, there was no single incident in 1980 that has motivated me to give up my career. If you allow, I will share two incidents.
Sure, sir.
The first spark was ignited when I was five and a half year old. It was the first day of my school in my hometown, Vidisha, a small town near Bhopal. I was born in an ordinary family, very modest family. So my school was also a modest primary school. So when I was entering in my school building, small building, in fact it was a small house kind of thing, I saw a boy my age sitting at the school gate. He was a cobbler boy. And I was a little bit disappointed seeing a boy who was looking at our feet, not at our faces. Perhaps he was thinking that we may give him some shoe-shining job. But me and all my colleagues were having new shoes. This was the first day. So, the first question I asked to my teacher, I said, "Sir, why a child is sitting outside the school gate and not with the rest of us in the classroom?" He was a little bit surprised, but he said, "Calm down, this is your new day, make new friends, be familiar with school." I said, "Okay, sir." Then he tried to convince me, saying that this is not uncommon. Poor children have to help their families. I said, "Okay." So when I was coming back, I saw the boy still sitting under the open sky. It was in July 1959. And next day I also saw the boys along with his father. Both of them were cobblers. I asked to my mother and my relatives who were educated, wise, learned, but all of them had similar argument or similar answers. But I was feeling very disappointed, rather angry every day seeing that boy there. So one day I gathered all my courage and stopped and asked the boy and his father. Boy was shy. But father stood up with folded hands. हाथ जोड़कर वो खड़े हो गए. Because of the caste hierarchy. And then he said that, sir, I never thought about it because my parents, my grandparents, and all of us started since we were children like this. And then he took a pause and said, बाबूजी, स्कूल जाने के लिए तो आप लोग पैदा होते हैं, हम तो इसी काम के लिए पैदा हुए हैं. You guys are born to go to school, but we are born to work, he said. उसकी बात मुझे इतनी गहरी चुभी. I started crying. I had no answer, no. But that was his answer, but it was a question and challenge for all my life, that why some children are born to work at the cost of their childhood, their freedom, and their future. So that had given me a different perspective of life. I started questioning, and I started learning that whatever my teachers, the wise people, learned people, my own mother say, may not be right, may not be just. It could be the complacency which goes on and on and on, and people think that it is the life, it is the reality, it is the truth, but that is not the truth, that is not right. But my parents wanted to make me an engineer because nobody was there in engineer in my relations and so on in my small town. So I did my engineering, I taught in the university, I was specialized in high voltage transformer design. But my passion followed me. The eyes of that child always followed me. And I decided to give up my career. But nobody was working on this issue in India or elsewhere in the world. बहुत सारे charity के काम थे, but I did not believe in this conventional charity. I always believed that these children have equal rights. And I was talking, उस समय की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं जब even the notion of child rights has not been established. So the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child was adopted by the international community, by the United Nations, only in 1989. I am talking about 60s or 70s, 80s. यहाँ से शुरू हुआ और फिर
Now you have liberated, so I would be pleased to say that Sir has, and Bachpan Bachao Andolan has liberated 1,30,000 children from child labor, from trafficking, from other gruesome situations of their life. Sir, is that the moment? What was the moment like when compassion, that spark of compassion came to you? Because you have been really elaborate about the emotion compassion.
Well, this first incident was definitely the first spark of compassion. And you need not to borrow or buy compassion from outside. We are all born with compassion.
But sir, you have already started your career as an electrical engineer. After that, when was the spark of first compassion that ignited in your life?
I always lived with that. All of you live with that. I ask a question to you. I hope you are married?
Yes, I'm married with 2 children.
2 children. So when your first child and then second child was born, even before they were born, when they came in your belly, they were not talking to you. But every mother, and father also, but in case of every mother, it is a proven neuropsychological factor that the mother's perception towards life changes. Mother's relationship with someone who is not yet born starts before the child is born. And that is the neuropsychological and neurochemical action which take place in the body. So compassion is essentially innate. हम सबके भीतर वो है, लेकिन जो सवाल आप पूछना चाहती हो उसका जवाब भी मैं दे देता हूँ. It was not the first spark or second or third spark of compassion, but it was, I would say, the incident which has paved my way or has shown me my path. There is some relations between all of you and me, or most of you and me. After giving up my career, I thought that if we have to change the mindset, if we have to change the world, the transformation of society begins with consciousness. And media, now we have social media and all kind of media. But in 70s, 80s, Doordarshan was the only darshan, जिसको दूर से हम लोग देखते थे. Few newspapers, so we had to depend on newspapers. So I thought that I should write in the newspapers. I started writing in big newspapers, Navbharat Times, Hindustan Times, Indian Express, but also in Hindi, mainly in Hindi. But then I realized that they were exhausted. They could not publish articles about child slavery, child trafficking, child labor, etc. Discrimination against children. My focus was definitely children. So I started my own magazine. There was a time when Kailash Satyarthi was the owner and publisher of a magazine. Not like yours, but it was a fortnightly called Sangharsh Jari Rahega in Hindi. Sangharsh Jari Rahega means struggle shall continue. And that was an experiment in Indian journalism when a full fortnightly was solely, I underline, dedicated for those communities, those people, children and women who were most marginalized, most abused, most neglected and discriminated. And they did not get space in the mainstream media. The human rights journalism and humanitarian journalism in India was not yet born. It began in early 80s or late 70s from some news papers. So that was my beginning.
Do you think, sir, today the media is doing justice to this kind of a cause?
Yes, definitely. It is much better, much better. It has made tremendous journey so far. So one day, when I was publishing this magazine, I was the editor, I was the reporter, I was the photographer, I was someone who goes to the local press in Old Delhi, Sasti Press, जहाँ पर वो एक एक अक्षर लगा के और कंपोजिंग करते थे तो पूरे दिन खड़ा रहता था मैं. So I was the proofreader, I was the page maker, everyone. Or I was someone who used to keep my magazines on my bicycle and used to sell it. सब काम कर रहे थे. लेकिन that was so important. Why? Why I have so much respect for media and journalism? There were so many controversies, so many things which we can talk about, but for me it's very, very deep. So one day, a desperate father knocked on my door. He was very desperate because his daughter was about to be sold to a brothel, 15-year-old girl named Sabo. This man's name was Basal Khan. He and his newly married wife were trafficked from a village in UP, Aligarh, to work at a brick kiln in Punjab. And they learned that some brothel keepers were coming to buy the girl, and the slave master, the brick kiln owner, was selling the girl. So he ran away in the middle of the night, and somehow he reached to me, because my magazine was dedicated for such stories. So when I was listening to this, I felt that if Sabo, 15-year-old girl, was my daughter or my sister, what would I do? I will not simply write and be happy that my magazine had got more. TRP was not there that time, but circulation maybe. More people will buy that because the story was so pathetic and so on. But I felt that it was me, not him, Basal Khan. I said, Basal, I'm not going to go to write it now. I'll go with you and rescue your daughter. I collected some friends, and Basal Khan, I brought him to my house, my room. After giving up my career in Madhya Pradesh, I moved to Delhi, and my wife, Sumedha, she was also a journalist. She was the editor of a magazine called Jan Gyan, published from Delhi. So both of us started living in a small room like this 12 feet by 10 feet. That was a storeroom of someone. And we brought Basal Khan to stay with us. And Basal Khan could not understand that how this guy will help me. He was thinking that I could be a government officer or a Neta. I was looking like Neta with wearing these things. But due to my inspiration, Gandhi, I wear khadi. So then we went there with my friends. Sumedha, my wife, had to actually not sell, but mortgage some ornaments of her marriage so that we can organize some truck and other things, because it was not just his family, but there were several families who were held in slavery for 17 years. They had to spend 17 years, and these girls and boys were born in slavery. So we were beaten up there. Basal Khan was caught by the employer. Police was with them. We had to run barefooted, torn clothes. But I never believe in giving up. Never, never. I strongly believe that the solution of every problem lie in the womb of the problem itself. You have to be patient, you have to be honest, you have to be resilient. That I learned from my student life. So we came back, but with the help of some friends, lawyer friends, we approached the High Court and filed a petition under the habeas corpus. That was the old British legal regime. And luckily, the judge has agreed to take action. And within 10 days or so, 36 children, women, and men were freed with the help of judiciary. More importantly, this is the first documented incident of liberating slaves through civilian effort in India and anywhere in the world's history.
Amazing, amazing.
That was the Basal Khan's thing. And then I never looked back.
Amazing, sir. Those incidents must have really, touched your heart, and the compassion that ignited is definitely, it has ignited, I'm sure, that compassion in all of us today, present here in the audience. So Assam has recently slashed child marriage by 81%. And we all know that your organization has worked closely with the Assam State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. So is it possible to eradicate child marriage from Indian system totally? Like I'm talking about Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, or states like Bihar and other parts of Northeast, wherein it is so deeply engraved that to pull it out of the roots, it becomes a little difficult if we don't have our strategies right, and if the government does not, coordinate with such kind of situation. So your take on that?
I can just say yes. If Assam, many of you might have come from Assam, but Many of you have your relatives and family in Assam. I ask you, if you are able to abolish 81% of child marriages just in 3 to 4 years of time span, इतनी सी कम देर में, 3-4 साल में, 3 साल में. Would you agree with me that you can completely abolish child marriages in your state? Yes or no? Say. इतने धीरे बोलेंगे, पढ़े लिखे बहुत लोग हैं आप. मैं गांव में जब पूछता हूँ ना असम के जाके, तो वो इतनी हिंदी समझती भी नहीं है, वहाँ की औरतें, आदमी, बूढ़े, बच्चे, लेकिन वो कह देते हैं हाँ हाँ कर देंगे, चाइल्ड मैरिज खत्म कर देंगे, बाल विवाह खत्म करेंगे. आप बोलिए खत्म करेंगे? सो हम अकेले नहीं करेंगे, सरकार के साथ मिलकर, समाज के साथ मिलकर, सब लोग मिलकर इसको खत्म करेंगे. एंड दैट इज़ वेरी मच पॉसिबल. वी हैव वर्कड वेरी क्लोजली विद द चीफ मिनिस्टर. आई हैव बीन टॉकिंग टू हिम, शर्मा जी के साथ, और दिस चाइल्ड राइट कमीशन, the state legal services authority, all those agencies in Assam were very, very cooperative, and we worked very closely with them. And we have an office in Guwahati and other places. We organized several marches and events, and dozens of other civil society organizations work closely under the umbrella of Just Rights Alliance, which is founded and led by my son Bhuvan. So he is taking lead along with his people. And we are very confident that Assam is going to set the example for the rest of the country that how we can abolish this age-old menace of child marriage. And child marriage is nothing but a social sanctity, a social license for perpetual rape of young girls and women. Needless to say that how it ruins the future of those girls, the body, biology, mind, everything, future. So that is a crime against humanity, not just unlawful activity, but that is the crime. And that is possible through social awareness, legal and judicial actions, government initiatives. That includes the social protection programs, ensuring education for girl children, especially boys as well. So we have been working with government and we have been demanding, and today I would like to repeat my demand that we must amend the right to education law and increase the age of completion of primary and secondary education until the age of 18. So 18 should be the age of free and compulsory education for all boys and girls. But let us begin with the girls, because they are the worst sufferers of many, many problems: child marriages, child sexual abuse, child domestic labor, child migration, child trafficking. So, असम की सरकार से मैं आपके माध्यम से निवेदन करता हूँ कि वो शुरुआत करें और एक स्टेट लॉ बना के 18 साल तक की लड़कियों की शादी को रोकते हुए उनको फ्री एजुकेशन, शादी तो रुकी हुई है लॉ से, लेकिन फ्री एंड कंपलसरी एजुकेशन की एज 18 साल करें ताकि फिर देश उनको फॉलो करे असम को. प्रतिदिन आप ये लिखते रहिए, बोलते रहिए, तो प्रतिदिन में हम लोग इसको ख़त्म कर देंगे, बाल विवाह को भी और इलिटरेसी ऑफ गर्ल्स एंड बॉयज़.
Surely, sir. Northeast, sir, coming to Northeast, it is being very close to all the international borders. Most of the countries are towards Northeast. We have Bangladesh, Myanmar, China, Nepal. And due to this, we've been working on the Act East policy, etc. But then it has also a negative side, wherein the child trafficking, the woman trafficking has increased. And to eradicate this, to combat this kind of a situation, what could be the possible strategies that government and activist organization like yours could take up?
Actually, this is the twofold problem. The majority of trafficking incidents take place from northeast to rest of the countries. Northeast, and particularly Assam, is one of the biggest source areas of child trafficking, basically, the girls trafficking. And that is for domestic help, that is for even marriages, child marriages. In Haryana, we have rescued girls from Haryana, Assamese girls. एक लड़की के साथ तो ये हुआ कि that girl was lured away by two boys from Delhi. They stayed there for a few days. Somehow they built that relationship with that beautiful girl, and somehow motivated her to come to Delhi so that they can formally do the wedding. निकाह करना चाहते थे उससे एक लड़का. And then when she ended up, she found that she was with a woman who was the kingpin of the trafficking of girls from Assam to Delhi. And she herself was the Assamese lady. And she kept this girl for a few days, did not sell her for prostitution, but she had sent her to a place which is not very far from here in Haryana, in Gurgaon district. No, not in Gurgaon, it was in Sonipat. तुमको पता है कहाँ था वो? फरीदाबाद के पास, not very far. And that girl was married to two men. One of them was, so officially married to one of them, one brother, who had some mental issues. It's not completely mad, but having some serious problems. Another one was the elder brother, who was also unmarried. So she was put to live with both of them day by day. And she was also used as the forced domestic labor. So she had to clean the house, she was forced to do every household chores every day, and then she was abused every night. She had no contact with her family in Assam. So her father was lying on the bed, and that was the reason, because they were very poor. So somehow her brother got some message. This girl found a phone of one of the relatives in her in-law's house, and she called up her brother. And she could not complete her full sentence, and somebody has heard that she is talking to someone, so she was badly beaten up. But luckily, the boy, her elder brother, could listen to the name of the village. But there were several villages in that area of the same name. So somehow my colleagues have helped in finding out and just reaching to that village. That was very tough thing, but very, very tough operation, very risky, very dangerous. Police was not helping. The local people were very much against, because it was a formal nikah, but the girl was 16 to 17-year-old, less than 17-year-old, so we were able to successfully file the case under the POXCO. So POXCO में होने से वो काम आगे बढ़ गया. So girl was brought here after several months, 6 months, and she stayed with my wife and me for a few days, because she was highly traumatized, badly traumatized. She did not want to go home because she was feeling that nobody will accept her now after the marriage. Let me tell you, I asked her a fake name, Saiva. We have given her the name Saiva. I said, Saiva, what do you like most? She said, Rasogulla. हमने कहा कि रसोगुल्ला मंगाते हैं, और उसके भाई और सब लोगों के साथ बैठ के रसोगुल्ला मंगाया. कुछ असमी दुकान से भी सामान मंगाया, रसोगुल्ला वगैरह. So it was like that. There were 2-3 kilos rasagulla. And when she touched the first rasagulla, she started crying. And she was weeping badly. So I could not understand what has happened. So she has asked to her brother, she was murmuring in her brother's ears, और पूछा उसने, थोड़ी हिंदी जान गई थी, हिंदी यहाँ की लोकल, और असमी तो बोल ही रही थी। तो उसने पूछा कि क्या मैं एक पहला रसगुल्ला अब्बू के लिए बचा लूँ, रख लूँ? पहला रसगुल्ला खाने से पहले, क्योंकि अब्बू बीमार थे और रसगुल्ला उनको बहुत पसंद था, बेटी को भी पसंद था। And I was in tears, my wife was in tears, that what kind of things happening and who is responsible for that? How long we can keep on blaming one government and one officer and one minister or one chief minister and so on? This is a blot on the face of humankind. This is a blot, human trafficking, girls trafficking on the face of Mother India. And those who love Mother India, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, in Assam and everywhere, it is all Assamese children are the children of Mother India. If they are trafficked and sold and bought like animals and treated like that, this is the shame for all of us, I would say. This is a collective responsibility. If something is happening in Assam, if something is happening in Manipur, if our girls are treated so badly and raped and killed and such a violence is occurring, whose responsibility is it? It is the responsibility of every single Indian, and we have to rise above the politics to protect our children because they are all our children.
Very rightly said. We have to save all the sahibas of this country so that they are treated equally, they are given a chance to education, and they can have the rights of freedom. Sir has been always vocal about freedom, and I think that's the cause for Satyarthi movement, for global compassion. Can you elaborate a little more so that our youth sitting here today also ignites that compassion in themselves so that they can also help someone in need in the future?
So, as you know that I am not a priest to give sermons and make people fools. Not all of them do, but many of them are the one who are making the people fool in the name of religions. So, neither I am a teacher or an academic person of compassion, but as a humble activist who believe that all children are my children. The Pakistani children are as good as Indian children as my children. The children in Sudan, children in South Africa, children in America, children in Gaza, children in Palestine, children in Israel, children in Ukraine or Russia, they are all like my children. So that is my humble thought. So I don't believe in segregating children and people and so on. So why we launched this new movement of Satyarthi movement for global compassion, where so many people, so many religious leaders kept on rhetoric, they keep on talking of love, kindness, compassion, all kind of things, mercy, pity, benevolence. I realized that there are serious issues in the world. I work across 140 countries, to be precise, 144 countries for last 30 years or so. Much before my Nobel Prize, I have been working in almost all low-income countries in Africa, Latin America, Asia, everywhere. डंका बजा के नहीं कर रहे थे हमको लगता था कि when we say अयम निजः परो वेति गणना लघु चेत शाम उदार चैतानाम तु वसुधैव कुटुंबकम. So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam should not be a rhetoric, should not be just a matter of slogan, political or social or religious slogan. We have to live with that the whole world is our family, and that is our rishis, that is our munis, that is our great wise masters of wisdom and knowledge have taught us, and they lived with that. So सारी दुनिया हमारा परिवार है. So मुझे लगा कि the issue is that world has never been so knowledgeable, so wealthier, so powerful, so fast in speed, so enriched with technology and data and everything. But world has never been so broken, so divided, so filled with hatred and violence and different phobias as it is today. So what a paradox, what a contradiction. So what I could understand, that we know about the problems of the world. If you go to a village, the villagers will tell these are the problems. If you sit here as the journalist and academia and intellectuals, you know the problems of the world. जैसे child marriage का आपने पूछा, child marriage is a problem. And we know the solutions also. कि मान लीजिए कोई धर्मगुरु सभी धर्मगुरु फैसला कर लें कि we are not going to do the wedding ceremony, the marriage ceremony, the नॉट बांधने का काम, ये फेरे पाड़ना, ये उस निकाह कराना, अगर सब बंद कर दें, नहीं करना हमें, मंदिर के अंदर, मस्जिद के अंदर, गुरुद्वारे के अंदर, गिरजाघर के अंदर सब फैसला कर लें कि नहीं करना, तो नहीं करना, नहीं होगा. So we know the solutions. So all the problems of the world are known and we know what works, what are the solutions. But the issue is that, and you should also feel, everybody can feel it right away. The issue is that the gap between the problem solvers and problem sufferers is deepening and widening. This honesty, this sense of urgency, that feeling for the suffering of others, the genuine connection with each other, even in the families, even in our boardrooms, even in our schools, hospitals, the problem between the patient and doctor, the gap between the patient and doctors is growing because of this commercialization of medical profession. Commercialization of education profession has also did the same thing. The gurus used to treat with their shishyas in the past with a sense of belongingness, sense of moral responsibility, sense of moral accountability, which is lost in all spheres of life. I'm not talking about just India, I'm talking about global situation. So, how this gap could be filled? How we can bridge that? That needs connection. That needs deeper feeling, the deepest feeling for the sufferers. Patient is a sufferer. Doctor is a problem solver. Politician is a problem solver. Citizens are problem sufferers. We are facing so many problems. The judge is a problem solver. All this. So, we have to find that solution. So the deepest connection with the suffering of others that compels one to take urgent action to alleviate the suffering is nothing but compassion. दूसरे के प्रति एक गहराई का जुड़ाव और वो फीलिंग जो आपको एक्शन लेने के लिए मजबूर करे और एक्शन लो आप, वही कंपैशन है. Unfortunately, for thousands of years, kindness, mercy, empathy, compassion, all these things were put in one basket. This is wrong. They are all softer emotions except compassion. Kindness is not compassion. Empathy is not compassion. When you feel the suffering of others, you are empathetic, but empathetic people become frustrated one day, merging or drowning into the problem or suffering of others, the pain of others. So in case of compassion, I realized that we have to re-articulate it, redefine it, reinvigorate it, relaunch it. That is very, very challenging thing, because compassion is not a preaching. Compassion is not a virtue or value. Compassion is the power of transformation. The power which can bring about justice, and liberty and equity and inclusion in the society. That is possible only through compassion. Otherwise, we will keep on making laws, we can amend constitution, we can make new programs and schemes, and we can earn a lot of money, but we cannot live in peace. I am talking about the inner peace, when you can sleep home, smiling, without feeling tired. You can sleep in peace, with satisfaction, with contentment. And that is
100%.
compassion. So the transformative power of compassion is the key of solving the problem. And this is the reason we launch this new movement.
Thank you, sir. This movement has definitely, it will help the people in pain, and it will build a gap, build a bridge between the person who will be showing the compassion and such organization like SIR's Satyarthi Movement for Compassion is working wonders all across the globe, and we are very privileged to have him amongst us today. I'm left with 100 other questions which I'm yet to ask, but then time is short. So I will now put the dais over to Mrinal Talukdar so that he can go ahead with the question and answer session.
Let's start with Manas Pratim Kashyap.
Sir, my question is that, is human trafficking the same as human smuggling? And how can we protect our child from the trafficking?
Technically or legally, there are two different definitions. But trafficking is someone which has been more thoroughly defined in the international law. In India, there are some Supreme Court judgments which are as good as laws, but they are not laws. So a law is still pending about trafficking. When somebody is lured away, somebody is given false promises, somebody is kidnapped, somebody is taken to work as forced labor or for prostitution or for any other thing which is benefiting the traffickers or the agents or someone who was the end beneficiary of that human being. That could be child, woman and man, and that is trafficking. The smuggling in a mass scale, they are taken to, sometimes they are smuggled to other countries, not necessary to work as child labor or forced labor or for child marriages. It could be done for anything.
Hello, sir. My name is Hirokjyoti Kalita, a student of International Relations at South Asian University. Sir, my question is, in Assam, mainly in tea garden districts, where Adivasi population is predominant, and the child trafficking remains very high. So, even the rich class and even the literate class is involved in making false promises and giving false promises of better opportunities, but get exploited. Those children get exploited. How do we address these sort of problems?
So these problems could be addressed in the combination of several measures. One is the preventive measures. Preventive measures include ensuring education and making sure that children are attending the school, and that is a collective responsibility of the village community, panchayat and the teachers to make sure that that child is attending the school. So that is a safer way, because then if child is not coming to school for 2 or 3 days, then the people can try to trace him or her. Secondly, the social protection programs for the parents, which India government as well as the state governments also have. Some good programs are there. Just not Manrega, but there are so many schemes which are there to benefit for the most marginalized sections of society. Adivasis, you said, tribals, and many of them are the tribal families and children. But this schemes have to reach to the last person of society, those who are suffering or those who are vulnerable for trafficking. And finally, there must be more rigorous vigilance at the railway stations, at the bus stops. Technology is so advanced nowadays, it can be done so easily. So it is not too difficult to do it. So in the entire railway mechanism, some work has been done, but much more has to be done. And we cannot place the police personnel on every single door step. Better that we have to be vigilant as citizens to see that children are not trafficked.
We have so many departments, budgets, district-wise, so many, have different agencies, trusts, a lot of employees on, My question was that, how do you find them effective in a, segregated manner? Or they become a barrier sometime for you? I'm just telling you on the responsibility, because normally you provide jobs, but we need to provide the responsibilities.
This is exactly the reason I started this new movement. There are a plethora of institutions, laws, and schemes, departments, ministries, and everything. But the sense of moral responsibility and accountability is lacking. The sense of inclusion and collectivity is lacking. Within themselves, how to coordinate and collaborate with each other is lacking. And these are the issues that need compassionate leadership in politics. So we have many programs which you can learn more through the SMGCs or Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion's social media or website. You can learn more about all these things, that why compassionate leadership training is needed. That means the leadership in problem solving. How the politicians can emerge as the problem solvers. How the media, the doctors, the engineers, how the medical professionals, they can emerge as the problem solver, and that requires the leadership in problem solving. And problem solving leadership is the compassionate leadership program that we are working on. And I am very, very encouraged to tell you that in last several months only, we have launched this new movement only in March. And since then, you name the world's top universities, right from Princeton to Harvard to MIT to IIT India to Ashoka University. 13 universities, top universities in the world has joined hands with us in advancing this idea of transformative power of compassion through compassionate leadership building in all walks of life. Where, like if you are a journalist, then you should make sure that in the communication, how we can get rid of hatred and divide and the communal and the violence and all kind of sentiments which are being propagated in social media and sometimes the mainstream media. In most of the channels, the debates are like that, which divide humanity, which divide India. So, as a responsible journalist, responsible citizen, one can speak out against all those things, but in favor of bringing people together. In the end, I would say, with just one sentence, that the world has built so many bridges, so many walls. The world has built so many walls and so many boundaries and wasted so many bricks in making those walls. This is the time. India is the place that should take lead in breaking those walls and those boundaries and use those bricks in building the new bridges where the humanity can be united.
My question is, after rescuing the children from the child traffickers, many have been again trafficked to the other traffickers. So what could be the solution from this cycle?
It happens in some cases, definitely. There could be several reasons. But one concrete solution is to ensure the socio-economic and cultural rehabilitation. Economic rehabilitation is the key. And there is a very good scheme in India for the rehabilitation of all survivors of slavery and trafficking or bonded labor. So such schemes have to be properly enforced and guaranteed that the survivor of trafficking is rehabilitated. But equally important, in case of the victims of sexual abuses or child marriages or prostitution and so on, that families should deal with dignity, with care and love and protective mindset. Otherwise, we have come across many Assamese girls. I underline Assamese girls whom I freed and my wife freed and my colleagues freed in Delhi and from Punjab and also from Haryana and Mumbai, that they did not want to go back home. There was a girl who was raped in a place called Panipat, and she was pregnant. Nobody knows that she was carrying 4 months. When she was brought to our ashram in Delhi, she wanted to commit suicide. We have felt that she has a tendency to commit suicide, so my wife had longer conversation with her, and then she opened up and she said that, how can I show my face to my mother and my father, my family? I cannot show up my face. Better I should die here, because how can I carry that child, illicit child, in my womb? What a mindset in India, that she is a victim of a heinous crime. That is not her fault. The society should accept. We have come across incidents in all parts of India where the girls who have been raped or sexually abused by their own relatives, the parents don't accept or don't admit those girls because these girls would not be married. People would not marry the girl who is so-called having the stigma of sexual abuse. Look, we are the land of Durga. We have started worshipping Durga, the epitome of power, that is a woman. We are the land of Saraswati, that is also the symbol of knowledge and wisdom, that is also a woman. We are the land of Lakshmi. We are going to have Diwali very soon. She is also symbolizing the wealth, the prosperity. She is a woman. We worship these women, but how hypocrite we are that a girl who has been abused, we put the stigma on her face, on her family, that now ye apavitra ho gayi, ye gandi ho gayi, she is now dirty and nobody can marry her. I call upon the young people to rise, stand up and speak out loudly कि माता दुर्गा, सरस्वती और लक्ष्मी की बेटियों को दुनिया में कोई गंदा और अपवित्र नहीं कर सकता। अपवित्र वो लोग हैं जो ये बोलते हैं कि हमारी बेटियां अपवित्र हैं, हमारी सारी बेटियां वैसी हैं जैसी हमेशा से थीं। वो दुर्गा को, सरस्वती को, लक्ष्मी को रिप्रेजेंट करती हैं। थैंक यू
सर। एक सवाल प्लीज़, एक सवाल मुझे पूछना था सर। अभी आपने देखा कि इजराइल और लेबनान और इधर बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, तो बीच में खबरों में आया कि वहाँ पे बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं जो कि बेवजह से इस चीज़ों का मतलब मारे भी जा चुके हैं या फिर उनको प्रॉब्लम्स भी हो रही है। दुनिया इस प्रॉब्लम्स को देख रही है, यूएनओ एंड अमेरिका एंड ऑल, जो भी उनके पॉलिटिकल क्राइसिस हो, इसको लेकर आपकी कोई अपील या आपका कोई मैसेज ऑन दिस थिंग्स, स्पेशली किड्स के मामले में?
हम इस पर काम कर रहे हैं। कुछ काम जो कर रहे हैं वो तो हम शेयर नहीं करेंगे यहाँ। एज पीस लॉरिएट्स, मैनी ऑफ अस आर वेरी वेरी एक्टिव in several aspects, in several spheres, कि इसको कैसे हम, we are not, I am not the one who can speak out on the political part of it, or I am just talking about the child related things which we are working on already. एक बात ख़त्म करके देता हूँ, कह के ख़त्म करता हूँ कि last 7th of October when about 1,300 innocent women and children have been kidnapped by this terrorist group Hamas, extremist group from Israel, then everybody knows that the repercussions would be बहुत बुरे होंगे. जो भी repercussions होंगे, they would be much more dangerous. हमने लोगों से बात शुरू किया. मैंने खुद I called up number of Nobel laureates who were Muslims as well as number of Nobel laureates who were Jews. तो बहुत यहूदियों से बात किया. ज़्यादातर वहाँ नहीं रहते हैं, इज़राइल में, अमेरिका में रहते हैं, लेकिन उनसे मैंने फ़ोन पे बात किया. लेकिन कोई यहूदी नोबेल लॉरिएट पीस का तो नहीं, मैं दूसरे साइंस के और दूसरे सब्जेक्ट के भी, तो वो बहुत नाराज़ हुए. उन्होंने कहा कि ये दिस इज़ द टाइम टू सेटल ऑल द स्कोर्स ऑफ द हिस्ट्री, और हम इसको नहीं सुनते आपकी बात को. क्योंकि मैं ये कह रहा था कि रिपरकशंस में द वर्स्ट विक्टिम्स, जो सबसे बड़े सफरर, सबसे बड़े जो पीड़ित होंगे, वो बच्चे होंगे. वो बच्चे सारी दुनिया के होंगे. वो बच्चे गाज़ा के होंगे शुरू में, बाकी और देशों के भी बच्चे होंगे जो इनोसेंट हैं, जिनकी कोई गलती नहीं. तो यहूदी लोग कुछ सुनने तैयार नहीं थे. जब मैंने और कुछ इस्लामिक देशों के कुछ लीडर्स से बात की, नोबेल लॉरिएट्स, कि हमको इजरायली बच्चों की हिफाजत के लिए भी बोलना चाहिए और पैलेस्टीन के लिए भी बोलना चाहिए, तो वो भी नाराज़ हुए. लेकिन मैंने कहा कि नाराज़ी से काम नहीं चलेगा. देयर शुड बी सम मेल्टिंग पॉइंट, देयर शुड बी सम मीटिंग पॉइंट वेयर वी कैन हैव some kind of bridge, some kind of dialogue. We should not just divide the world. हमारे देश में भी इतना ज़्यादा हो गया जैसे कि हम ही इजरायली हों या हम ही पैलेस्टीनियन हों. हमारे यहाँ आधे लोग कुछ लोग सोच रहे थे हम ही पैलेस्टीनियन हैं, मर रहे हैं. कोई सोच रहा है कि हम ही इजरायली. ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा डिवाइड हो गया, पूरी दुनिया में हो गया. यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में अमेरिका की यहाँ वहाँ दंगे फसाद हो गए. तो फिर within 10 days I have written a simple note. All Israelis children are our children. सभी इजरायली बच्चे हमारे बच्चे हैं. सारे पैलेस्टीनियन बच्चे हमारे बच्चे हैं, फिलिस्तीनी बच्चे. बच्चे किसी युद्ध के लिए जिम्मेवार कभी नहीं थे. बच्चे किसी गरीबी के लिए, किसी नेचुरल कैलेमिटी के लिए, क्लाइमेट चेंज के लिए, हिंसा के लिए कभी जिम्मेवार नहीं थे. लेकिन जो पाप हम पढ़े लिखे समझदार पावरफुल लोग करते हैं, उम्र में बड़े लोग करते हैं, उस पाप का सबसे बड़ा खामियाजा उन निरपराध बच्चों को भुगतना पड़ता है. ये मैंने अंग्रेजी में एक नोट लिखा. So let us speak for the children of Israel, let us speak for the children of Palestine because they are all our children. ये लिख के मैंने कहा कि let us globalize compassion for our children. तो वो चिट्ठी मैंने 150 के करीब नोबेल लॉरिएट जो हैं दुनिया में उनको भेज दिया. 150 पौने 200 सब विषयों के, सारे सब्जेक्ट्स के. 10 दिन के अंदर 103 लॉरिएट्स ने मुझे भावुक चिट्ठी लिखी और जवाब लिखा कि कैलाश, you have taken the lead and that lead has come from India. India is the place that Indian Nobel laureate can think of it and can take the lead. 103 लोगों ने कहा कि हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं, उस पर सिग्नेचर किए. और उस स्टेटमेंट को मैंने एक अपनी पर्सनल चिट्ठी के साथ दुनिया के हर राष्ट्रपति को, हर प्रधानमंत्री को, हर राष्ट्राध्यक्ष को भेज दिया. और उस पर सब सुगबुगाहट शुरू हुई कि let the children should not be barred from immediate medical support, immediate food support, grocery, पानी, ये उन बच्चों को मिलना चाहिए. ये सारा का सारा नैरेटिव 15-20 दिन के अंदर हम लोगों ने शुरू करा दिया. उसमें मेरी एक बहुत ही विनम्र, इज़ ए वेरी हम्बल इनिशिएटिव मेरा था. और ये इसी धरती से हमने सीखा है, इसी मिट्टी से, इसी भारत की मिट्टी से. और इसलिए मैं कहता हूँ कि सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरी कोशिश है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए. हो गई है पीर पर्वत सी पिघलनी चाहिए. सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरी कोशिश है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए. मेरे सीने में नहीं तो तेरे सीने में सही, हो कहीं भी आग, लेकिन आग जलनी चाहिए. वो आग है मोहब्बत की आग, वो आग है करुणा की आग, वो आग है इंसानियत की आग. बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
I take this moment to call upon stage the woman behind Sir's success, if I may say.
Sumedha ji,
Sumedha ji,
please come on stage.